Hello and welcome. You're watching The Big Bang with me, Vijay. First up, after KSRTC and BMTC, it is now the Bescom's turn to burn a hole in the taxpayer's pocket. Here's a report. Amidst reports of load shedding and shortage of electricity supply, Namma Bescom has some more bad news for Bengalurians. The Electricity Board has decided to hike the tariff by 32 paise for every unit consumed. New fares will be applicable for the year 2014-15. It was said that the Electricity Board is facing a huge loss since their heavy expenditures in the year 2012-13. But talks of all hikes were apparently stalled due to the Lok Sabha elections. Now that the elections in Karnataka are over, Escoms in the state asked for the tariffs to be hiked by 66 paise per unit. But the Karnataka Electricity Regulatory Commission has reportedly assessed the absolute need for a hike and decided to approve an average hike of 32 paise per unit.
Because everything that has been done by the Commission has been completely transparent. All the applications made by the electricity supply companies have been available to all of you in public domain, and we have carefully considered all the representations made by the Commission companies and also the views expressed by various consumers, people's representatives, and we have now issued the tariff orders revising the rates for the next year.
The KERC has claimed absolute transparency in the matter before finalizing the hike. While 32 paise per unit is the average hike per unit, the individual breakdown is as follows. For up to 30 electricity units consumed, the user will have to pay an extra of 20 paise on every unit, which will now cost you 2 rupees 70 paise. 31 to 100 consumed units will now cost you 4 rupees, following a hike of 30 paise. All units above 100 will cost an extra of 40 paise each. The consumers will have to pay 5 rupees 25 paise and 6 rupees 25 paise respectively. It's not just electricity tariffs which have seen a hike post-elections. BMTC, KSRTC and BWSSB have either already increased their tariff or are in the process of doing so. And the common man is definitely not happy about it.
That's absolutely atrocious, and they should have actually informed us much earlier. And this comes as a shocker after the elections. This is absolutely not acceptable by any means.
The basic electricity is one of the basic elements of the total cost. So if that increases this way, then people like us are affected because we pay the taxes. If we're not paying the taxes, we are left with almost nothing in our salary kit, and the cost, the burden of the cost is so much. So if this elementary cost goes increasing, then we face a lot of problems.
The primary reason to seek a tariff hike was to cover up previous losses, and many have stated that the main reason for this was because Karnataka Power Corporation was not able to produce enough electricity. As a result of this, the government was forced to buy electricity from private power plants. When asked about it, the KERC president defended KPC, stating that only about 25% of electricity supply came from private generators.
If you look at their expenditure, a large chunk goes into buying power from private players because the state corporation hasn't managed to fulfill the quota that was expected from them. So do you think this has played a major burden on the financial situation of all the Escoms?
Well, actually the private sources contribute a very small portion of the total energy procured by the electricity supply companies. More than 40% of the power comes from the state government's own company, that is Karnataka Power Corporation. About 30% of the power is sourced from the central generating stations, and another 10% power comes from the renewable sources, which are also quite reasonable in our state. That is like wind energy and mini hydroelectric and things like that. Only the balance quantity of about 20% or so is sourced from private companies, partly about 6,000, 7,000 million units from Udupi Power Corporation Limited, where the tariff fixed by the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission is a little higher than the average tariff, average cost that we incur. That's now fixed at something like 4 rupees 57 paise for this year. And some 10% of it also has to be procured as a gap, stopgap, less than 10%, from short-term sources, again private sources, either within the state or outside the state. That's a little more expensive, close to about 5 rupees per unit. So it is not correct to say that most of the power comes from private sources. As I said, it's less than about 20-25% of the power comes from those sources, and which are a little more expensive because those sources have been established recently, and this is according to the rates that are obtained either by calling for tenders or according to the rate fixed by the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission.
Sir, also finally, one question every Bengalorean wants to ask is, okay, I'm fine giving this amount hike, I'm ready to pay that 32 paise more, but what about the constant power outages, the constant load shedding?
We have issued a new directive to the electricity supply companies that they should resort to load shedding only when there is unforeseen drop in availability of power, either due to malfunctioning of some major generating station or some such unforeseen reason. If they have to do this for shortage of power, known shortage of power availability, then they must notify the consumers in advance. And we will monitor this very closely on a monthly basis in respect of every electricity supply company, not only Bangalore company.
Thanks a lot. Yes, you will have to pay that 32 paise hike, but hopefully the new directives issued by the Regulatory Commission will improve the service of BESCOM and other electricity companies. With camera person Mantesh, Harish Upadhyaya, News9, Bengaluru.
Well, the BESCOM is not the only department to have burdened the common man following elections. It looks like Bengaluru's Water Board has taken the cue from the Transport Department and Electricity Board, having decided to hike water tariffs. Along with paying extra for the little lamp in your house, you will now have to shell out more to ensure that taps don't run dry. Yes, the BWSSB too has decided to hike water tariff. The BWSSB has reportedly sought a hike on numerous occasions in the past, but the state government was apparently least interested in doing so. Having given KSRTC, BMTC and the ESCOMs a go-ahead, they have now turned to solve BWSSB's financial problems. The Water Board will be holding a council meeting to decide on the tariff hike. While many have questioned the necessity to hike BESCOM's electricity fares, the BWSSB has sizable reasons to seek a hike.
Actually, for every month we are receiving about 50 crores. That is the 12 into 5 for 600 crores we are receiving it. Out of that, 37 crores which is going to power charges, excluding borewell power charges. Out of 10 to 12 crores is going to the administrative salaries and diesel and other things. We are maintaining with the same thing. That is only per month. We are maintaining the same thing. But due to shortage of revenue, we are not taking up the any major replacement of works. Only are doing the only repair works and leak repair works we are carrying out.
The last time the Water Board hiked fares was over 9 years ago. They have been making do with the money that comes in and have reportedly been facing financial crises. About 60% of the money earned is spent on electricity bills every single month. The tariff hike following the meeting on May 14th is supposed to come as a big relief for the Water Board. Pramod, News9, Bengaluru. The wait was finally over for students as the SSLC exam results were out today, bringing good news to the state, breaking an 8-year-old record of pass percentage. The wait was finally over for 8.6 lakh students who appeared for the SSLC examination, which was held between the 28th of March and the 9th of April. The results were announced this morning at 11 a.m. by the Minister for Primary and Secondary Education, Kimmane Ratnakar, who was happy that the state saw an all-time high pass percentage of 81.19%.
SSLCಯ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟಾರೆ ಶೇಕಡ 81.19 ಫಲಿತಾಂಶ ಕಂಡುಬಂದಿದೆ.
This year, on the advice of the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, there were two divisions of analyzing the pass percentage of the state.